Hello.
Hey, Rodney, how's it going?
Hey, doing good. Let me turn this on here. Wait, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great, doing great. Good to see you.
Yes.
Well, very much appreciate you hopping on the call today. My name is Heather. Were you calling in from North Carolina?
hmm
Okay, cool. I think I went down there this year for the beach. It was a much needed beach vacation. But awesome. Yeah, like I said, really glad to have you on the call today. Today's call, the purpose of the call is really going to be to learn a little bit more about you, learn where you currently are in your career, where you're looking to go, and kind of where the gaps are to getting you there. And then if I believe, right, you'll be a good fit for the program, we can talk about, next steps, kind of what the process looks like. And then we also treat this as an onboarding call. So if you are a good fit and want to move forward today, we can do that at the end of the call as well. That
Sure.
that sounded good to you?
Absolutely.
It's just a little thing, and I'm going to try to stick to the big stuff in this call. And then once we get the bigger stuff figured out, then we can fine tune. But one thing I would recommend: don't ask for their permission, right? Where it's like, if you think it's a good idea, then we'll move forward today. Or if you like it, we'll move forward today. It's like, if this is a mutual fit, we move forward today. We start, get you on Tom's calendar. Like you're just putting that energy out that, like, we don't play around with tomorrow. It's today. And then when a lot of guys, and this is pretty typical in sales, are like, that sound good with you? I never want their permission. It's like, we have the answers to your problem. We do it this way, and you're going to come along or you're not, right? And I don't want to sound like a hard ass redneck about it, but it's just like, that's kind of the approach that I would recommend taking. But keep going. Your cadence, your energy's good, confidence is good. I'm digging it so far.
Okay, cool. Did you come across Tom in Vertical Motion?
I think it was over the holidays. I think I saw him on Instagram.
Okay, cool. And then at a high level, do you feel like you've done enough research to understand what we do? Obviously, we'll kind of get into details today, but just at like a high level.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely been looking into, the things that you guys have been doing. I've been watching some of the videos and some of the, how you guys are, I mean, obviously been watching the YouTube videos.
Mhm. Okay. So you watched the 45-minute video that we sent over?
I saw about 38 minutes of it. I did
Okay.
have to go to the dentist this morning,
Okay.
and I think he sent it to me. I had to have a tooth filled. That's why I'm off today. So I had to do a PTO day today. So I didn't get the last little bit of it. So I didn't get that finished.
I think maybe it was the last 7 minutes, maybe where I talked about the price. So I just want to make sure you have a good understanding of what the investment for the program is.
So I did, yeah. If I missed that part of it, I didn't get to that part of it because I was having to run out to the dentist today. So I did not see that last few minutes of that part of it. So I didn't catch that last part of it. But I'd love to hear about that part of it too, as if we could talk about that today.
Yeah. So just at a high level, so you're aware now, right? The investment for the program is going to be $7,500. Just so you're aware of that. Is that okay?
I mean, it definitely sounds like something. Obviously, I'm looking at investment. For me, I definitely, if that is something that I mean, I do. I write resumes for people, so I always talk about investing in yourself to get you the next job. So I mean, I've talked to people about that piece of the puzzle. Definitely think I like.
Pause for this 1 second, real quick. So I like how direct you were with it, where like you're just kind of matter of fact, which is money. I would refer to so when you say the price, I would refer to it as the investment or the tuition. That way, when we start kind of poking at them about being a consumer versus an investor, or operating like a consumer versus the CEO or whatever it is, we can beat on that. Like, hey, you keep mentioning the price and the cost and the price and the cost. Like, let me ask you something. If there was a way for you to go from 150 total comp to 250 total comp, whether it's 250, 300, 210, whatever it is, regardless, do you suppose the cost of the program or the tuition is really that big of a deal? So I'm it gives me the leverage if I need it to bring him back down to earth and be like, bro, quit being a pansy, right? So I like that he told you, like, I'm kind of out of it with the dental thing. I would keep that note moving forward. And if he ever gave me some wishy-washy answer, or kind of like, he's kind of guarded right now, right? Like, you can feel he's still guarded.
Yeah.
I can kind of be like, make a joke out of it, but use it to my advantage. Like, oh man. So like, if he says something about, oh, I never make same day decisions. Oh man, it must be did the dentist give you Novocaine today, or what are you on, man? What do you mean? Like, you could just use it to kind of like make him realize, oh shit, I don't have the answers,
Mm-hmm.
Other than that, I think the only other, and it's just, I don't want to get too many little things, but where you're like, at $7,500, is that okay? Like, I don't want him to make a decision yet if he's ready. But if he hadn't seen it, I like that you brought it up front, like we talked about. I would just maybe $7,500, right? Our goal here is to change the game in the way that you operate and help you step into the next position. Let me ask you something. If we could help you do that, would you consider $7,500 a life investment on your part. Yeah. Okay. And then I just keep going.
Okay.
Cool. We can keep rolling.
I would love to hear more about, this piece of, if it makes sense for me, obviously, I don't mind investing in my future if it's definitely going to help me get to the next level and from where I'm wanting to go in my career.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. I guess for you, what resonated the most from the video that you watched?
I just think that, I feel like being stuck, a little bit, just the part about, I think for me, just being not wanting to be, I like Tom talking about not being manipulative, trying to just use it for power to get, I did like the honesty part there that, not being a person that you're not wanting to try to manipulate to get you to, like how this, if something is not, for you, or, I like that he's trying to be very honest and upfront to tell people if this is for you or not for you, that he's not looking to try to manipulate to get you into a position of power to just want to, because I don't like that type of stuff. I'm not looking to, 5 quick tricks to get me to the top, or 5 key buzzwords or how to cutthroat. That's not something I think I'd be interested in doing.
Yeah. Okay, awesome. Yeah, Tom really, I think what you've seen from Tom in the videos is what you would see from him in the coaching. He's very authentic, empathetic, and he's very much looking for people that are the same way, right? And are also coachable. He wants to bring leaders to the forefront that have those qualities and aren't like manipulative or just rude or hard to kind of work with, because right at the end of the day, we're going to be working directly with you in this program. So we're quite selective with the type of people that we let into the program, because right, if I don't think you're a good fit and you're going to cause kind of trouble, you're just not going to be, the type of executive that we'd want to work with, right? We don't allow just everyone into the program. So
Sure.
I'm glad you kind of resonated with that there. I did check out your LinkedIn before the call, and you do have a kind of a wealth of experience. A lot of it seems to be in healthcare, but I would love to learn a little bit more about how you got to where you currently are in your career, and we can take it from there.
I started off, a little bit younger. I was doing more sales, working in insurance.
Mhm.
Kind of got tired of doing a lot of the late night, being out, being away from home, working with clients at the kitchen table. I wanted something more of the daytime type activity, and got involved in staffing and more of the light industrial type of staffing. And it just, that really stuck well with me, and realized that a lot of the things I learned in sales translated well into the staffing game. I learned that I could talk to people. I realized that the sales things, the sales techniques worked in recruiting, so far as like getting people to, so far as hiring people, getting people in, training recruiters, especially for like customer service jobs, how to write job ads, placements, things of that nature. I realized just real quick that a lot of the sales skills I had translated well into staffing and that field. So I worked myself up, worked well with Adecco. I got over, Adecco came calling after about a year when I was with Staff Mark. They came calling, and I worked with them, managed a large territory for them, grew it, started growing a lot of territory. And as we grew, Randstad came after me pretty hard, told them no for a lot, for a long time. And they finally, after I told them no like 3 times, they finally came back, offered me a signing bonus to come to Raleigh and get off the road and just manage one of their branches. And I had been doing a lot of traveling across the state of North Carolina, and they offered me a big bump in pay. Went to work for those. Finally, got to a magic number that made sense. Worked for them for until they decided to buy Monster.com, and Randstad bought Monster, and they consolidated multiple parts of their division, and they decided to let me go. When I got a new boss, she kept her guy, and I was, first one in, last one in, first one out, and give me a severance, and I got it. And so I kind of just took a little bit of time and just kind of floundered a little bit and helped a local company do some work until I got the call from a LinkedIn, recruiter called me for with Favorite, and Favorite, I just told him, said, I don't know squat about healthcare. I said, I know staffing, I know sales. You guys are interested, I'll grow your business. And I started off as a branch manager and grew from 20 shifts, 10,000 a week in billing to I helped them grow to 1,000 shifts a week in billing. And I took over from just running half of North Carolina to North and South Carolina until this year in January. I run everything from West Virginia to DC down to Florida over to Arkansas and Kansas City. So I manage the Southeast Territory, and but it's taken a long road to get there. I was probably one of the top 3 branches for a long time, but it's kind of unique. And I've been a top performer every branch I've gone to, but I keep getting kind of stuck in that kind of top branch performer. And now I'm a regional director, and I get relied on real heavily. Like my VP, like this week, I'm the one that at lunchtime, we do lunch and learns. It's they had people lined up to do something. They didn't like the material that person put together. They're like, "Hey, Rod, can you put something together and do the lunch and learn today at 4:00?" I mean, they know I can do it. They had me come out to corporate to do a lot of the training. I think I traveled 23 weeks last year, between trainings at corporate, visiting my branches, and top performer, with my company. And it's just like, it's just a little bit like, I'm like, okay, I'm helping write sales material, crafting material for the company, and I'm like, I'm either doing something wrong, like I'm giving away too much to you guys for free. I don't know. I'm really at a point of and here's the thing. I had several interviews last year for VP roles, and I didn't land one of them.
Okay.
Outside the, I had headhunters call, and I took every one of those calls because I'm like, yeah, I'm ready to take the next step, but I didn't land any of the calls. And
hey, can you pause for a second? Haider, when he says that is home run time for you. He's told you he has taken multiple interviews for VP and he didn't land a single one of them. So you want to make sure that is a blinking red light. You want to come back to that. And even if he goes and says like, well, I'm going to be focusing on internal growth or whatever, when he says I can't land VP roles, you have him at that point. You have him right there, because you can come back to that point and poke a stick at that all day.
Yeah, I definitely did, and
Okay.
we'll do that later in the call. But yeah, I'm pretty sure I wrote, like, immediately when I heard that, I wrote down, like, touch on this at the end of the call. But yeah.
Perfect.
Just think it's worth mentioning too, because we've seen a lot of guys not do this. But you were only able to find that pain too, because you were able to shut up and let him do his thing.
Yeah.
Right? Like there's lots of chances for you to hop in and interrupt him. I think you did a great job just letting him go here.
Me too.
And it's just, and I help, which is the crazy thing is I help others. I write resumes on the side. I teach and coach others so far as how to write resumes. I run a side hustle. I have people that if they want to, if they want to attend a class, I have a whole thing set up where they can join. And, I teach it for people that want to either write the resume for them. They can join how to get to the yes pile. I mean, I have a whole class I teach. People pay to get into it. I charge about $25 to $40 depending on the size of the class, and I'll fill up 10, 12 slots. I'll teach it in the evenings. It's helping me put kids through college. I have 3 kids in college. It's just a PowerPoint and industry knowledge of seeing so many resumes. It's typically lower level, entry level type people that are trying to get out of that hospitality, food service, get into an office setting. I help a lot of that working class that want to move from that group, wants to move. But I do also have helped a lot of I've helped a lot of professionals that are like in the engineer space and land a lot of roles. I coach them on how to sell themselves because they suck at interviewing. And so the engineer space has been a big one for me. They just that they're great architect, engineer, all of the that space has been a good one for me. Working with that candidate set because they don't have sales experience, so I teach them how to interview and sell themselves. So that has been great for me in selling people working with me one-on-one. And I just do that off the side as a side hustle. But for whatever reason, I'm not selling myself correctly for whatever reason for the VP role. Or it just may not have been the right fit. Who knows? I don't know.
Yeah.
That has definitely been an issue this past year.
Gotcha. Appreciate all the context there. That's definitely super helpful. And I feel like there's a couple different ways we can kind of take it. So I guess for starters, on the traveling bit, you mentioned you traveled like 23 weeks out of like 52 weeks last year. Are you looking to kind of get into a role where there's less travel involved?
I would love to. I mean, I work from home. I'm working from home now remotely. I used to be in the branch, and I've always been in the branch, but I'm working from home, managing the territory, and I don't mind traveling, but I mean, it just that definitely wears on you. Being gone that much. I know my wife would like for me not to be gone that much. Or if I'm gonna be gone that much, I want to be compensated more.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm definitely not compensated. Not at a 90,000 base salary.
Yeah. Okay. I guess could you tell me a little bit more about your compensation? So you said it's a 90K base salary. What's kind of the rest of it?
Yeah, I'm on a 90K base salary, and then I make commission on the gross margin off of my what my branches do, and so I make a commission off of what my branches are doing. So like this year, coming out of the pandemic, has been a big decrease. So this year, I'll probably make a lot less. I'll probably make closer to about 150 this year.
Mm-hmm. And what did that look like maybe in 2022?
What's that? In 2022, about 225.
Okay. And then earlier, you touched on, that you applied for and kind of got calls for a few different VP roles. What was the feedback that you got on, why you weren't kind of selected for those roles?
Good question.
Didn't get any feedback. That's the problem. You didn't,
Nice.
Didn't get feedback for it.
Okay.
I'd love to have gotten feedback, but didn't get any.
Okay. And then, those VP level roles that you're applying for, that you feel ready for, what does the kind of compensation package look like for those?
Those would typically, some of them start about, at least 150 to 185 base salary, plus quarterly bonus type structure.
Okay.
Corey, what we do, both Heather and I do this. We have them tell us what their current compensation is, and we have them tell us what the compensation of the job that they want is. Therefore, they have now established that value of, you know, what the value of actually becoming a VP is. He now has a very clear number for him. It's $60,000 to $80,000 increase in base every year, year over year. So that means it is a 10 times return on investment if we help him actually get to the VP level, right?
Yep.
So great job, Heather. You're so far, like, yeah, this is really good.
Really good.
Appreciate it.
25.
Yeah. Okay, so pretty decent jump there in terms of the base, at least, and then obviously as you get into the executive level roles, right, those bonuses become a larger percentage of the take home. So I guess question for you in terms of like the executive career accelerator program, do you know like what it is specifically that you're looking for, just to see if we can help with that?
Well, and it may not be. I mean, I may not be the right fit. I mean, I'm curious if I'm just stuck. I just feel kind of, that's the thing. I'm 46 years old. I turned 46 a few weeks ago, and I'm just moved from the branch manager role probably after about 12 years of doing that, and then but I felt like I should have been moved up higher before then, but probably about 4 years ago. But I've moved into a regional director type of role. But I mean, it's just, I'm not sure that, I definitely just feel stuck, kind of like I'm in this middle management position. And I guess, for me, I don't know if this type of program is more of, and like I said, it may not be the right role for me, but I'm just trying to figure out is there something I'm doing wrong? Or is it just maybe I've not done enough opportunities so far? Maybe I've just not hit on the right opportunity. Maybe I'm headed, maybe it's just, I'm headed the right direction, just gotta be patient. I don't know, that's the piece I guess, I wasn't sure, if I'm, am I stuck? Is it, is it I don't know. Honestly, I just 100%, some of the things that Tom said, I guess kind of resonated. I felt like, I don't want to be 60 years old and say, okay, well, let's get you to, to a VP level. At that point, I mean, my goal, honestly, I'd love to be president of a company by the time I'm 60, 65, and, ride out my golden years if possible. That would be a possibility, but
hey, Heather, real quick, when they say something like that, he's 46 and he's talking about being president by 60. You can stop him right there and you can ask him, okay, I'm just curious about that. Why do you feel like you have to wait until you're 60 to be the president of a company? Because what that does is you want to show him, like, a big part of this program is mindset shifts. And that's one of them. This mindset of like, well, it's going to take me 15 years to get to where I want to be. That's bullshit. It doesn't. He could be the president tomorrow if he wanted to, so like that's something you can pause him right there and interrupt his pattern and get him thinking like, oh, wow, these guys think about things that I don't, which is like, because he has it in his head that, there's a long time before he can be president, before he's qualified to be president. That's just not the case.
Okay, good call.
Let's talk about, and I like that, Tom, a lot. Let's talk about kind of the overall consensus of the call, right? So Heather, based on where you guys are at in the conversation, like what is your perception of where he's at as far as like what he's looking for, what he needs help with, why he might be a good fit for the program? Like what is your overall thought process on that at this point in the call?
I'm like trying to get that out of him here, like with that question, like, what do you need specifically from joining a program like this? Those are probably like the two main things I could think of, but he has a hard time of answering questions directly and kind of rambles on. So I think I might have pressed him one more time on this one in terms of like exactly what it is that he needs. But that'd probably be it.
I would say, for what it's worth, he told you exactly what he needed. He told you he can't get past the interview stage.
Oh yeah. Okay.
And I think right then, like now you have all that you need already right now to take him, from my perspective, and I could be wrong on this, Corey, but I want to hear Corey says, but when he said he can't get past the interview stage at the VP level, it means he's finding opportunities, but he's not closing the deal.
Mm-hmm.
In our program, we can help with that. And we have a whole section about God mode interviewing, and we do mock interviews. We have 2 executive recruiters in the program who teach you, step by step, the process of, nailing an executive level interview. And then also the other things are the executive mindset shifts. And then, like he's comfortable finding opportunities. He's comfortable doing the work. He's not comfortable landing the interview. And he's also got some mindset issues. So for him, I would really target in on modules 2 and 4 for him, the mindset upskilling and the interview and negotiation process. And then we have statistics, and I can give them to you. 11 people have gone from mid-career professional to executive in the program. There's 46 people in the program. 11 have completed it. 9 more are interviewing right now. And, we haven't even gotten into the hot season of hiring yet. So that is part of the package that you can push to him right away, which is, mindset and interviewing. That's where I would go with this call if I was right here in this call.
Okay.
And Tom, I would add, when you guys do your sales meetings, use that as like the rocks in that the projection, or excuse me, the issues list sheet that we sent over to you guys. I would put in there like cover updates in the program, like student updates, client updates, so that Haider is top of mind. He knows everything going on in the program, who just landed what role, what their comp package was, how long they've been in the program, what their pain points were. Like, if you can track all that on the back end too, I think obviously it's going to help you in your sales calls, but B, if you guys ever decide to do some sort of an ascension program, you're going to be able to go back with that data and just be like, look, bro, you came from here to here. Like, it's another 20 grand. Let's go. I guess my take on kind of where the conversation lies is there's still a ton of uncertainty. In my opinion, if we went after the close right now, we're going to get, I think about it. I got to think about it. And part of the reason I say that, the only reason I say that is we know where he's stuck. Like Tom said, like he can't get past the interview stage, but what's going to keep him from saying yes today is he doesn't know why. So we've got to drive home, and it doesn't matter if we know the answer, right? Tom knows the answer. He could tell him exactly why he's missing and how he's missed, but we have to get him to tell us why he thinks he's stuck there, what he thinks he's doing wrong, what he thinks the areas where he needs improvement, because that's what we're going to drive home on the offer. He's that type of guy where he's a very pleasant guy, but you can tell he's probably pretty ego driven. We've got to kind of break his ego in this call. And the way we're going to do that is getting him to kind of man up and go, I don't know what I don't know. Like, I need somebody to take me by the hand and show me how to do it, because clearly my way's not working. And until we get him to say it almost in those exact words, we don't have enough information to go for the sell yet. That's my take on this guy.
Okay.
I mean, I did turn down, the only one I did turn down a role, but it was basically making the same money I was making.
He is long-winded.
I had some of my former colleagues that have started a competitor company, and they had and essentially what they're doing is they started about 3 years ago, and they're going to grow it and sell it to a venture capitalist. And they want me to run, what I'm really good is at selling to large hospital systems, things like that, and run what they call their MSP type programs. And they want me to get it off the ground for them, and I'm gonna have to live on the road the next 5 years. And I was like, I'd have to have some type of equity stake. And I'm like, if you guys are willing to give me that, don't have to be a lot, but give me something, because when you sell it to a VC, it's going to boom like crazy and it'll be worth something. But we just couldn't come to an agreement on that. And I'm like, I'm not going to live 5 years on the road 90% of my time. And I don't want to be divorced. It just ain't worth. The job's not worth being. I mean, I'm a family guy, love my kids, love my wife. I mean, they're all in college. I'm just, I'm not going to live on the road that much or making the same thing. It's just that to me wasn't worth it. If I could be 50 years old and we sell that company to a VC and I'd be a millionaire. I can talk to my wife, like, hey, come travel with me, while the kids are in college, let's do it together, and we'll be 50 together, and we'll retire at 50. We'll have we'll cash in. That was a different conversation we had. She'd be willing to do that with me, but that was a different, so that one was one that they were pretty serious about bringing me over, but they did not want to compensate me for it.
Gotcha. Do you feel like you need some like kind of coaching and mentorship? Would that be kind of fair to say?
I'm very open to that. I mean, that's a possibility. I mean, I don't know if that is, if that's the case. I mean, it definitely could be. I mean, that may be what is, the missing link. It's, I mean, I know that's where a lot of people, and that's the biggest thing I'm very open to, because I know for me, that's the biggest thing I know with a lot of people, that where they're trying to go from, that I work with, they're going from A to B, it's just always just, that one little tweak or two little tweaks on a few things. And it's just, that's the thing that gets them to the yes pile, and, getting their resume into the yes pile, and to get them hired, especially at that mid-level, lower level position. I'm helping a lot of the people I'm working with. They're missing so many just little things. And so I've been trying to look and go back and look, is it certain things like that? I've even thought about, I know this sounds crazy, I've even thought about hiring a voice coach, because one of the things I'm running up against is when people hear me speak. I mean, being from North Carolina, one of the things when I speak, I give I speak at some of the different conventions, things like that. People want to immediately drop 20 to 30 IQ points, because when you hear somebody from the South, one of the things I had a guy, and I do this. I spoke at a large convention for about 10,000 people, and one of the things you did, I tell people right up front, I say, listen, when I open my mouth, the words you're going to hear, this voice, this is the one that God gave me. I'm from Raleigh, North Carolina. Because if you don't tell people out the gate, they're going to just start trying to immediately figure out where you're from. And, if you don't do that up front, they'll not listen to anything else you say during the conversation. But I've even tried to figure out, do I need to try to lose more of the Southern accent? But I know it's a heavy accent. And I don't know if it's that. Maybe people are just thinking that that is a thing. I don't know. I've contemplated a lot of different things this year. If that is a thing, try to just have more of a neutral Midwestern, or I'm not sure if that's a reality. I know that's something I've thought about heavily this year. The last 6 months is trying to change. I know that sounds weird, but the cadence, the talk, the tone. I don't know. I'm very open to that part of it, just because how you sound can come across. People think you don't sound educated.
Yeah. No, I definitely understand that. That is something we focus on in the program, is your presence, your speech, your communication skills and style. So that's definitely something we can work on with you. Earlier, you kind of mentioned you feel like you've kind of mentioned a couple of times where you feel like you've hit the glass ceiling of that manager level. How long do you feel like you've been stuck there? Like, how long have you been trying to get out of that?
Well, I know, look at the company I'm currently at.
Man.
I'm watching people. I'm watching people that are. I feel like they're definitely not as doing as good a job as I'm doing. Bypass me. I'm trying to figure out how. And I know I've definitely been watching that in the last 2 years. So I don't know. I don't know what to do. On that piece. Yeah.
And I understand that. If you're a good manager, right, that doesn't necessarily make you a great executive. There are two different skill sets, right? So like you mentioned, you're a top performer. You're always at the top of the pile there. They're asking you for different things to kind of get done for them that maybe not are always in your job scope. And so you might be a great manager, right? But that doesn't necessarily make you a great executive. And those people, maybe they aren't the best managers, or they don't have the best kind of performance, but they might have some executive skills that you might not have, right? And that's kind of, what could be the differentiating factor, because obviously being executive and being a manager, being like an individual contributor, they all have different skill sets that you need. And they don't always, if you're a good individual contributor, that doesn't mean you're always going to be a great manager, and so on, right?
I love that.
That was awesome.
Did you see his body language though, as you were giving him that?
Like, he was like, wait, you're telling me I'm not a good, like, he got real, yeah, this is fantastic, because
I didn't see his body language. Okay.
As you were doing that, he was like, he was offended. He was like, you broke his pride right there.
Let's rewind it like 20 seconds and watch it again.
That was awesome.
That was awesome.
The best kind of performance, but they might have some executive skills that you might not have, right? And that's kind of what could be the differentiating factor, because obviously being executive and being a manager, being like an individual contributor, they all have different skill sets that you need, and they don't always. If you're a good individual contributor, that doesn't mean you're always going to be a great manager, and so on, right?
All right, so let's pause it again real quick. So
Right there now.
And it's just all ego, right? It's like he felt attacked. One thing that everything you hit on was money, like spot on. Earlier in the call, I told you I was only going to give you feedback on the big stuff. There's no big stuff to have you change. It's just little stuff. So I'm going to give you what pops out. But one thing you can do here to avoid that ego flare is ask him questions about that. So instead of telling it, ask a question about it, make him say it, right? Because then it's one of my first mentors used to say it like this. He's like, Corey, if I just came in and told you you're a piece of shit, you didn't come close to hitting KPIs this month, you're coming in late, you're leaving early, you keep leaving for your kids' functions, you're taking date night even when you're not hitting numbers. He's like, what's your first reaction going to be? And he's like, okay, what if I came in and said, hey, Corey, how are you doing this month in sales? Not doing very good. I'm having a tough month. It's leads have been low, had a lot of interesting people. I'm second guessing myself on calls. Yeah, man, that's tough. I'm sorry to hear that. How much would you say your income's down for the month? Wow, my income's down 15 grand this month. Easy. Wow. Okay. How does that feel? Like, he just turned the whole thing into asking me about my take on where I was at. So I think the same thing there is like, hey, what are your thoughts on great managers not necessarily, or great producers not necessarily being great leaders, and great leaders not being necessarily great producers? What's your take on that? Make him tell you why because that's going to expose his uncertainty and where it is, right? But he's also got enough ego where if we make him say that, he's also going to defend it. But I think I could do this if I just had the right answers. Mm-hmm. For sure. I do too. And that's okay I do too. What are those areas though that you feel like you actually need to fine tune? How many more of these interviews can you continue to show up to getting a no before you throw your hands in the air and just keep doing what you're doing? Right. So everything you're hitting on is money, bro. Like you're killing it in this call. Just flip it to a question and make him spew the pain, and he'll own it. way better.
But you went right to the jugular there, and
Yes.
you knew exactly where he was bleeding out of. That was awesome. Study, Haider, if you get time, study Socratic method communication. The Socratic method is what Corey's talking about, which is how you communicate through questions. And I'm still learning that skill. Candidly, like, this is valuable to me because I can see things that I'm making mistakes in my own calls. So thank you.
Cool. So I guess with that kind of being said, outside of kind of this coaching program, have you looked into anything else? I know you kind of talked about the voice coaching, but was there anything else that you had looked into?
I mean, honest, not really. Just because honestly, I stay busy.
Yeah.
With 3 kids in college and a wife and a large territory and about 55 employees. Come across Tom, I saw that. I've been following some of his stuff, and I really hadn't, other than the voice thing, I really hadn't thought of much of that piece. Just to be fair, I hadn't really done any other type of research or anything like that.
Gotcha.
I hadn't spent any other time.
In terms of wanting to achieve that VP level role, what's the timeline you have on wanting to do that, right? Is that something you'd be ready to kind of get into immediately? Do you think you need a year or two to get there, or what do you think about that?
I mean, that's a good question.
When you asked that, Haider, because you kind of asked the question, but then you gave him kind of option A or B, right? So just what's your timeline to actually make this happen? And then
Yeah, I've noticed that in myself. I'll ask the question and then I'll give them a couple of answers, and and every time I do that, it's cringe. I'm like, why am I telling them what I want to do there? Okay.
Dude, everybody does it. I used to do it all the time, and one of my mentors had to break that for me. So you haven't done it a lot. I haven't noticed it a lot. So
okay.
I mean, I feel like I'm doing so. I know that my current VP, I'm her proxy. I sit in for, if she can't attend meetings, she has me pegged to be the one that sits in for her. So I sit into a lot of these meetings for her. I feel like I contribute in those meetings. I'm asked to sit in, certain things. I attend. I work with our global CEO. I mean, he knows my name. We had to do our year-end presentations in front of our whole, our global team, our whole divisions, VPs, regionals. We had to do it in front of our entire, ownership group. And I did, it was 80 slides. I did my entire presentation at the end of December. It was very stressful, but we were purchased about 2 years ago, and I did mine, went through it, and only got asked 3 questions. And didn't have any, and they grilled and drilled all my colleagues that had the same type territories I've got. So I feel like, I answered high level questions, throughout my presentation. I don't know. So I feel like, sitting in that type of meeting with, global CEO, the CFO, legal, HR, sales, did well. Standing in front of that, it was like Shark Tank style. They're sitting in front of at a table with PowerPoint. You're standing there, PowerPoint clicker going through. That was rough. Man, there were people that were nervous as crap. I ain't saying I wasn't nervous, but I didn't get up there and read off my notes. I got up there and looked directly at them. I got very good feedback from it. So I don't know, man. I think it's unique. I don't know. Like I said, I feel like sometimes I could. I applied for the VP role at the current company I'm at. I didn't get it. I got the regional position. I don't know. I feel like I could be I can move into the regional, a VP role very quickly, within a year. I think at least.
Gotcha. And have you spoken with your current VP at all in terms of career paths moving forward?
No, I have not.
Okay.
I probably wouldn't speak to her. Probably would speak to the president.
Okay. Gotcha.
She just moved into the VP role. Same time I moved into the regional role.
Okay.
She's a newer VP.
Gotcha. Yeah, I guess it'd be interesting to kind of have a conversation with her. Hey, I want to take over your VP role.
Yeah. Yeah, she's a little younger than me, a little bit newer. Yeah.
Gotcha. I guess could you paint for me kind of what your ideal dream scenario role looks like in terms of title, in terms of the type of work you're doing, the type of company you're working for. Do you want to stay at the current company, or are you open to leaving? Just kind of holistically paint me a picture of what the dream scenario looks like for you right now.
I think something like VP of operations. Operations is my jam. I love coaching and teaching. So I love sales. Sales became my I know how to do sales, but I love operations. Data don't lie. I love looking at the data. I love Power BI. I love Excel. I'm a nerd like that. I love looking at the numbers. But I love coaching people. I love doing, that's one of the reasons they love me to do lunch and learns, because I'm good at speaking. I love helping people. I'm the one that tells, I tell all of my groups, hey, this job will never love you back. Make sure you take care of your family. I'm the one that doesn't, I do toe the company line, but I'm also going to tell the people, make sure you take care of your family. I'm not always perfect probably in that arena, but I don't know. I want to be somebody. I love helping people, and but I know I've fired my fair share of people this year. So I do have the ability to do what has to be done when people aren't performing, and I put people on plans. I've got people I got to put on plans probably this next 2 weeks. So I can do that aspect of it, but if they're not getting it done, I can do that. But director of operations is VP of operations, something of that nature, is something I probably would say would be a huge piece, I think, for me. And that would allow me to utilize my skills and help teams grow and reach their peak performance and manage, the people underneath me.
Yeah. And then in terms of like the type of company, right? Would you like to stay at your current company? Are you okay with, switching to another one or a different type of industry?
I do like staffing. I mean, I've been in it for, and I do like healthcare staffing. I do feel like that has been I do feel like that's something we've gotten really good at. I do feel like it is, it's got a huge growth curve just because of the attrition of nurses, burnout, and retiring in the baby boomer generation. And it's kind of a recession-proof job. I mean, you got to have people, no matter what. Even in the pandemic, they need nurses. So that's something I've really enjoyed. That I really enjoyed that part of it, and gotten good at it. I've gotten good at talking to C-suite, hospitals or nursing home chains, or I can do all of that piece of it. So that, to me, whether it's this company or somewhere else, I definitely think that would be a win.
Gotcha. Yeah, we do have someone in the program that is kind of going for that chief medical officer role. He was a director at the hospital, and he's going for the chief medical officer role now. So there's definitely some healthcare related folks within the company as well, or within the program. I guess if you were able to kind of land that executive role, right, that kind of comes with additional, 50,000 or whatever it might be, less travel, aligns with your vision and your values, and is like in the same kind of industry, and you're still working in like healthcare and staffing. What would that mean for you? Like, how would that allow you to kind of do things right now that you aren't able to do?
Good question. I think if I was to get that, I think it would kind of give me a little bit more free time to be, be here with my wife. I think it would give me a little bit more time to be maybe involved in my church, just to be involved. My kids are going to be graduating college, and I know the next year of my life is, sounds weird, but I'll be a grandfather at some point because gosh, all my kids are in their 20s, so I've got to accept that reality that they're going to start having kids. So yeah, that's they're going to start bringing home son-in-laws at some point. So would love to have more family time and time in that regard. So I mean, if that's a possibility, but it's those are just things for me. I'd be open. I would love to be able to do that and not be on the road. But I don't mind. I mean, heck, I grew up on a farm. I'm up at 5 o'clock every morning. The drive and passion and work ethic, that's something you can't. Drives my wife nuts now. I can't sleep past 5:30. When you get up every day, take care of animals. The blue collar work ethic doesn't go away just because you work in an office. That is something that's innate in me. I'm up early every morning. It's 365 days a year, so I just can't get away from it. But it's so I do the work. I work long hours most of every day, but I carried that over into the corporate world. It is what it is. But I would love to be here more, earn more income, and I think
something I might want to do on a guy like this is I feel like we're not going in circles. Like he's really putting a lot of thought into what the information he's giving you. But I think we've got to a point where we've got to drive home why he believes he's not landing these roles. Like bottom line. And so one of the ways that I like to do this is like, okay, I feel like I've got a really good idea of where you're at. Help me understand this though. Rodney, you've clearly got a ton of background in the space. You're hungry, you're motivated, you communicate well. I can tell you're passionate about helping other people. The part I can't wrap my mind around, why do you feel like you're not landing these roles? Like Reader's Digest version, 2 minutes tops. Like, why are you not landing these roles? I want to almost put him in the hot seat where he can kind of look around and it's like, there's nowhere to go. Like you're cornered. Why are you not landing these roles, in your opinion? And let him give you, it's like, if he starts going off on a tangent, well, no, hold on 1 second. I don't mean to be rude, Rodney, by any means, but what are the ideas that you have on why you're not landing these roles? Like, I just want to paint him into that corner, because if I can get him to submit right here, the rest of it's easy. He already knows the tuition. He's already followed Tom. You've already done a really good job kind of planting a few seeds. Like, oh yeah, we handle that in the program. We got a guy in the program doing this. Like, you've done a nice job of kind of sprinkling it out. Not like, I'm not a big fan of like the get to know you and then, okay, let me tell you about our program and go off on a tangent about the program. And do you want to do it? It's like, cross your fingers and pray they say yes. I want to get confirmation throughout the entire conversation that they know that they need our help. And I think that's the missing piece with this guy. And we almost have to we have to rein him in. It's like lasso his ass and pull him in and be like, cool, but what's the real problem? And just get kind of direct with him. I don't want to beat a dead horse, but I think honestly, that's in my opinion, the only missing piece in this call that would have drove a yes. And I don't know how it ended, but maybe what we can do, I've got a wrap here in just probably 5 minutes. Why don't we let's fast forward to kind of where you asked for the money and kind of transition. Let's see what that looks like.
Each time, right, are getting into that role that they were looking to get into when they first joined.
what do you, I mean, results wise, do you feel, do you have people that are going through the program, do everything through the program and not seeing results? Just, I mean, like, what do you guys, feel like if you're going through this program, I mean, obviously $7,500 is a good investment. Do you feel like going through this, program, is it I mean, obviously, nothing's guaranteed, obviously, but, do you feel like you have people that are, going through it and just not seeing anything, or they're still in it and just, they're struggling through it? I mean, so I'm just curious.
No, great question. It's you definitely want to know about the results of the people kind of going through the program.
Right.
So for starters, there's around 40 people close to in the program. And the way Tom describes it is it's an outcome-based program, right? If we don't help you get the outcome, we're going to keep working with you until we get you to that outcome. So thus far, it started back in June. There's about 40 people in the program. 10 people have already got into that executive level role. Another 10 are are currently interviewing. And then the other 20 are still under that 4 to 6 month average time period. So they're still kind of working through the course material, and they're looking to start beginning implementing there. And like the vast majority of people have joined within the last quarter, basically, of last year. So that's why those 20 are still kind of working through it. There was an example of one person that we had join. Took her a couple months. She got onto I think it was a VP level offer. 3 months later, the company, had a reorg. They got bought by someone.
Try to not look away
She
when
ended up getting laid off.
you're covering
And then,
this
we're still
part.
helping her now to kind of get back
Lock
into that
your
role.
eyes
So
on it.
we don't just, like I mentioned, it's an outcome-based program. It's not like, okay, your time's up, goodbye. We really want to make sure that we help you land into that role, and we're going to work with you until you get there.
When you cover that, one thing I'd like to hear more of, especially with this guy, like, oh yeah, I've got make kind of simplify it, because he's asking a buyer question, but his ego is kind of coming across like, I'm interviewing you now.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't want to lose that posture. And the way that we can ensure we don't lose it is we can give him very specific information. Oh yeah, I've got about 45 people in the program, 40 people in the program, got 11 people that have already landed that role. This just started last June. We've got another 10 people in interviews currently working through the process. We've got another 20 people that most of them joined the last quarter of last year. They're still working through the program, not quite to that point. Let me ask you something though, and this is where I'm going to flip it, because I want to get right back into me asking questions, not him. Rodney, let me ask you something. Out of all the people we've helped, out of all the people in our program, do you believe they have anything that you don't? Do you believe that they have a skill set, a whatever you guys want to plug into that? Like, or you could just, what did they have, just out of curiosity? And this is where I want your tone to come down to, where it's like laser in on him. Like, what do they have that you don't? Because I'm going to go back to what I said earlier. The only reason, because this guy, he's a think about it, correct?
Yeah.
The only reason he didn't go is he's uncertain with that, which is AKA he's uncertain with himself. But he knows that he's motivated. He knows he's a hard worker. He knows that he can lead people, but he doesn't know why he can't get there. And that's the missing piece. We have to get him to own it completely and go, I don't know what I don't know. Haider, I'm out of answers. I've tried everything and I just need help. Like that's the part we have to hear from this guy. The ego driven, I always refer to like the realtors, right? Nothing against realtors, but most of them are really ego driven. You have to kind of chin check them, and that's how you chin check them. So yeah, let's keep rolling. But I just think that part's super important, just to keep that posture. Like, bro, you're not interviewing me, I'm interviewing you.
Yeah. Okay. I would say it's as close to a guarantee as you could make without it actually being a guarantee, right? I was going to lead with that, like, nothing is guaranteed, but you kind of said that. Yeah, that's kind of how it works. Like, we're very much committed to making sure the people that are coming through the program have the results that they're looking for, or else, right, the program's not going to last very long, right? So like our incentives are very aligned in that sense. So, the coaches, Tom, Jackie, Sandra, they work incredibly hard and to work with you to make sure that you get into the role that you want to be in, and then coach you when you're in that role as well, right?
Absolutely. No, I definitely think that's fair.
Mm-hmm. I guess with all that being said, how do you feel right now? What are you thinking?
No, I mean, it's
really good question.
I'm not hesitant. I'm just, for me,
you are
hesitant. Yeah. This is at 1.5x speed too.
I think one thing I've seen is for a lot of people,
I love that.
At this point in time of the conversation, it typically comes down to a couple of different things, right? It's the time commitment, right? I can't make 4 to 5 hours of time commitment a week. There's just kind of too much going on in my life. Others timing. Oh, it's just not a good time for me right now. I have a wedding coming up. I have a vacation coming up, whatever it might be. Third is money, right? $7,500 is a lot of money. And, you just spoke with Tom on Instagram, and now you're talking to me, who you've never met over Zoom, and, paying $7,500.
So let's
it can make people a little bit uncomfortable.
And then again, you're touching on all the logical components, right? Like those are all the things you're going to have to walk him through regardless. But he was that quiet time you guys had there for a moment. I want him on the spot. Like, I want you to ask that question of like, how are you feeling right now? Right? Gut feeling, Rodney, do you feel like this is where you're supposed to be? And then and don't say shit until he talks. I don't care if it's 30 seconds or 5 minutes and eye contact the whole time, right? Because I do a lot of what you do, Heather. Like when I'm talking, I even do it in the training. You'll see me like I'll look off to like gather my thoughts and then I look back. But when I'm in this part of the conversation, like I will not take my eyes off them, right? Because it's just like, hey, we're in it. So the only thing, I don't want to beat a dead horse. The only thing he has to say right now for him to say, okay, let's go, is literally, you know what, man, you've helped me see that I don't know what I don't know. I need help. I need help. I can't dial in what I don't know. Therefore, I'm going to keep going to these interviews to get the same result. And I gotta do it. So he feels that, but this is where, if you ask him that question, like, hey, what are you feeling right now? Make him give you what's going through his head and then dig deeper into it. Right. It's almost like he just needs a belief that we know it without telling him. We already know how to get you there.
Mm-hmm.
You don't, and you need to submit. Like if you want to be king, like get in line and let's show you what you need to do.
Mm-hmm. The last, and this is the one you're probably feeling, is just fear. Right? You're not sure if this is going to work out for you. And what I see most of the time is when someone says, you know, they need time to think about it, or whatever the case might be, like they really have a concern with a couple different things, and that could be, you know, Tom, the program, and usually, because I usually, you know, ask people like, how do they feel about Tom? How do they feel about the program? They feel pretty good about that. I think the last thing that really kind of goes through people's mind is, you know, their own sense that they can actually go through this program and it's going to work out for them. Sure, it's worked out for other people, right? But is it going to work out for me? One of the greatest skills I think you need to have as an executive is confidence.
Yep.
If you have confidence, you will go very far. Confidence and decisiveness, right? Those are the two like most important traits, and Tom will probably tell you the same thing. If you have those two traits, you'll go very far as an executive. So I just kind of wanted to put that out there.
And I guess, and I'm not being, that is where I'm falling into, because part of my only hesitation for me, honestly, is, and I'm not saying all the other aspects of the program that aren't really awesome, is being very confident in already dealing with getting a lot of VP offers already, and kind of quasi already doing a lot of the coaching myself with a lot of people. I mean, I feel really confident in what, like, helping people doing a lot of some of this already. That part is, I've never lacked for confidence. That's the funny thing, like that has been I would say, like, it's just been more recently that has been, and it's only been interesting.
Pause this real quick. This is where I interrupt him.
Okay.
Rodney, hold on a second. I don't want to be rude, brother, but
you just told me
you've had 7 interviews that you haven't got, and I can't sugarcoat it. Like I'm not trying to be a dick either, but I can't sugarcoat it. It's like, Rodney, I've had 7 interviews that you didn't land. Look, I'm clear. I can tell you're a confident guy. I have no doubt in your confidence, your personal confidence. Landing this role it's not a question of whether or not you can perform and handle the tasks of that VP role. I've got nothing but confidence in that based on getting to know you in today's call. Is it safe to say that the piece you're missing is how do we package you up with a little bow on top so that when you land that interview, they can't wait to open and see what's inside the box? Like, those are, with this guy, that's the difference, where it's like, bro, I'm going to rip your, pardon my language, I'm going to rip your fucking ego jacket off, and we're going to get down to the brass tacks of, I know you're really good at what you know how to do. You got to prove to them that you're really good at what you know how to do. And you got to be better than everybody else that's gunning for that same spot. And I don't want to be like, forgive me for being too direct, Rodney, but you don't know how to do that yet. Make sure you put the yet.
Mm-hmm.
That this guy, even though he'd probably get red in the face and he'd probably do like a lot of looking around, he's going to respect it, and it's going to drive it home for him.
Okay.
All right, let's keep going.
I mean, the rest of the call is basically us just going back and forth on this. Like, we've I'll see if there's one specific area like where I ask him about money again, but
we can even just talk through it real quick. So what was the end of the call? Like, where did you leave off with him?
He needed some time to think about it. He said, before I pull the trigger on this, I need to speak to my wife. And then we scheduled a follow-up meeting for a couple days after.
Okay. And when did you get on the phone with him? Was this yesterday or 2 days ago?
This was on January 12th. And then
12th early.
I had a follow-up call with him early in the week. And I don't believe he showed up for that follow-up call. Let me just double check my notes.
he sent me an email saying, because you had me reach out to him by email, and I offered him 15 minutes with me. And he wrote back that his youngest child made some life decision that's really messing up his family life right now, and that he's not going to be doing anything revolving work for the next couple of weeks. So,
okay. So let's do this. anytime we get the think about it, we've got to look at the excuse that's being used and then figure out a way to implement that in our pitch, right?
Mhm.
So the other part that you can add in there, and I would just write this down and you decide where you plug it. Is there anything that would actually prevent you from getting started right now? Is there anything that would, if we decided we are a mutual fit, not you were a good fit for us, or we are good. If we decided we are a mutual fit, just full transparency, and please don't give me the answer you think I want to hear. You're not going to hurt my feelings. Is there anything holding you back from starting this right now? Make him tell you that, so that when we come later in the call, when he gives you the bullshit, it's like, well, hold on. You said earlier in the call, nothing would stop you. So there's either a lack of clarity on my part, which is, it can certainly happen, or there's a lack of clarity on your part. Which is it? Like, I'm gonna hold his feet to the fire. The other thing I would definitely, there's two things I would implement, and I got to rock and roll. Implement what we talked about. I know this call was after the training, but implement what we talked about in the confirmation text. Did you go through the video we sent over? Like, did you watch it in its entirety? Perfect. Did you talk to your spouse about the tuition to work with us in the event that we decide to invite you aboard? Yep, I did. Or no, I haven't. Okay, look, one of the biggest things we run into, I would just honestly, hey, we've created a policy that if you have not spoke with your spouse prior to the call, we're going to have to go ahead and reschedule or cancel the call. We've had too many people that they need to talk to their spouse, and we end up having to go through the entire conversation. I wouldn't say presentation, but to go through the entire conversation again with their spouse in order for them to make a decision. It's just, it doesn't work well on anybody's schedule. So make sure you guys are doing that on every single call, no matter how good they sound or how good they are. And then, make sure you're implementing hey, what are the biggest obstacles? Hey, where do you need the most help? Like you did. And then at some point in there, I would bring it up. Hey, I've had a lot of these conversations. We've helped a lot of people. Would you mind if we take an extra few minutes and cover some of the obstacles that we see clients struggle with, or potential clients struggle with, when they get to this point, when they get to the point where you are? Oh yeah, it'd be awesome. Okay. First one's time. Right? A lot of people, we all have the same 24 hours in a day. Some people prioritize their schedule for what's important. Other people run around with their hair on fire, scratching the surface on a bunch of tasks, never getting them done. Do you agree with that? Yeah, for sure. Okay. So as far as time, you're going to need 5-10 hours a week to commit to this if you're serious about getting to the next level. Is there any reason why you can't commit that time? No, I can totally commit that time. You sure? Yep. Okay. Notice how when I verify it again, it's like I'm continuing to take the control and like posture, push them back and have them come back toward, yeah, I'll do it. Like, I want them to come to me. Mm-hmm. Okay. Look, probably the more important part of time, Rodney, is timing. If Tom had $1 for every person that sent him a DM on Instagram saying that this is exactly what they need, it's exactly what they want, but they've got one more interview they're going to try to land, and if they can't land it, then they're going to come back, or they've got this vacation in February, so they can't start until March. Tom wouldn't even need to run a coaching program or his program anymore. He'd be wealthy off of that $1 he made off of each excuse somebody came up with. Ha ha ha. Okay, so let me ask you something. Why is the timing right? You told me how important it is for you to step into that executive role. Why is today the day? Make him tell you, and it's like, yeah, 100%. Okay, good. But it's interesting. These calls, and I've said this, but I'm going to say it on every training. These calls typically end in one of three ways, and two of which I'm okay with. Number one, which is ideal. Hey, we're a mutual fit. We roll up our sleeves. We take care of the investment, and we get started. Get you on Tom's calendar today. That's ideal. Option B, which I'm also okay with, is, you know what? I'm just unwilling to invest $7,500. I probably should have been more transparent in the DM on Instagram. Sorry for wasting your time, right? I wish they would have been more transparent as well, but hey, we're all human. No harm, no foul. The third one's the one that I really struggle with, and your tonality is really important on this. The third one's the one I really struggle with. It's the person that cannot say yes, but they cannot say no. So they want to go try the interview one more time on their own. They want to sleep on it, or they've got to talk to their spouse, or they've got this vacation or this thing, so they won't commit to a yes or no. Why do you suppose, Rodney, we have zero interest in working with that person at this capacity? So what I'm doing is, once I've gotten certainty around his problem, his pain points, and once we've clarified that he knows he doesn't know what he doesn't know, and that's what's biting him, so he needs help, that once I lock all that in and I know it, then that's when I'm going to go into the, hey, do you mind if I share? I feel like I've got a great idea where you're at. I feel like based on what you shared, we can certainly help you. Do you mind if I share some of the obstacles, though? It's almost reverse psychology. Instead of being like, look, we can help you, let me tell you how we can. It's the opposite of like, these are going to be the hurdles you're going to have to climb if we decide to bring you aboard. And then when he answers yes, 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 and here's why you don't want to work with or think about it because they're wishy-washy and they're going to waste everybody's time. And your guarantee says you're going to keep working with them until they get the result. Therefore, they're going to drag everybody through the mud in the meantime. And we're certainly, I mean, how likely are we to get a result or a positive review from that client, Rodney? Oh, you're not going to get one. And who do you suppose they point the finger at when they don't? Oh, you guys for sure. Okay. So it makes sense from a damage control perspective that we only work with people that have made up their mind that today's the day. Yeah. Is that you? Yep. Okay. And perfect. Welcome aboard. Let's go ahead and do the paperwork, run payment, and get him on Tom's schedule.
Beautiful.
Nice job, bro. That was honestly a really, really good call. I think you're crushing it. It's just I told Tom in the very beginning, we're going to add some arrows to the quiver. We're not going to dump your arrows. We want you to keep the ones that fly true. We'll add new ones until you get super deadly with, those areas. And then we can throw one or two out, 1, 2, 3 months from now, get rid of some stuff that's not necessary. But I think super direct, energy's good. I just drive home a little bit, get a little bit more certainty from them on they don't know why they can't solve the problem. And that's where you're going to get them.
Okay. Appreciate all the feedback. And thanks for
You're
that,
welcome, man.
Burton.
Good job, man. We'll talk soon, guys.
Appreciate it.
Okay, guys.
Take care.
All right. Bye-bye.